Welcome to part 2 of episode 6. We pick up where we left off. Mr. M just heard some life-changing news. He shares how it turned out to be an opportunity to create the vibrant experience that is his life today.
Chapter 3. There were a lot of things that happened in between then and now. One of them being we were at a company meeting. Well, not a meeting, but like an award trip. And she had literally just started talking to this person online. Probably had, I think they met like one time. This person lived in Oregon.
Wow.
And we live in Florida,
yeah,
which is the complete polar opposite end of the country from corner to corner. I had agreed, yeah, they can move to Florida. That's fine. It was not fine.
There you were in the thick of it.
All right, there I was in the thick of it, trying to keep her sane, right? And so I have now kind of shed myself. Like I have literally just become a being of light and trying to do the right thing. And, we had a bit of money saved up, and I was like, all right, I guess this is what we're going to do. I'm going to try to, so my ultimate goal was to, buy a property out West and put her up in it and like move back and forth between the two, like kind of like snowbird style, except at extremes. That never came to fruition, and thank God. I could not have done that. But the whole plan was like, my brother lives up in that area too, so like it's like I'll buy a place, I'll make him the main caretaker of it.
You were trying to make it work.
I was trying to make it work, right? Mm-hmm. There was a whole bunch of stuff going on behind the scenes in my head that was just like, this is a logistical nightmare. And if anyone can figure it out, it'll be her and I. But it didn't work out. And so we ended up moving this person to our home. And that went poorly. I was living in the middle of an episode of The L Word.
Oh, that's G-Rex's fave show.
It is.
I mean, I had a live action version of it appearing nightly in front of me. It was, we had U-Haul and lesbians, we had butch lesbians, we had femmes, we had everybody.
Okay. Hey, she was
damn. I would have loved that.
Yeah.
I mean, from the outside, looking in, it was that. It was just complete drama, shit show happening all the time. But so what ended up happening was, wife 2 and I decided to, we were like, we're trying to make it work, as far as an entity together. And then we ultimately decided, we're like, this is dumb. Why are we doing this? Like, we should just get a divorce, so that way we're able to, be in relationships with people and not have it not be weird, right? Because like, she and I both started relationships with the premise of, I'm married to this person, but I'm not with them.
Yeah.
And
that can't be an easy conversation.
Well, it's not an easy conversation. And her relationship, she started like that, did not work out. That was the one that came from Oregon. And my relationship, well, welcome to our house.
Because you got yourself a good one.
So clearly it worked out in that way. But when I presented these, before I get there, so we decided, okay, let's get the divorce, let's do the thing. But the pandemic had just started.
Oh.
So like literally everything shut down. So it's like, well,
is this a sign?
It's gonna happen, just not yet. But throughout the whole thing, wife 2 and I, we communicated properly. We didn't, there was no sniping. There was just like a division of assets. Like literally I was like, hey, whatever you want to take it. Whatever I want to take, I'll take it. And anything we don't want, we'll sell. Mm-hmm. Right. And that included our house. Mm-hmm. So, we divided everything as best we could. I said, any of the furniture that you want, it's yours. That kind of stuff. Cause I was more, I had more in my bank account essentially. Mm-hmm. Right. Like I was more flexible, so I could be like, no, if I need to get a new table, I need to get a new table. Right. That kind of thing. So it was just very much let's be fair to each other. Let's whatever you need, whatever you want, or whatever I need or want, we'll work it out. Mm-hmm. And there was never any contention. There was never any, I want that thing that you want. It was never any of that. It was more like, hey, you should take this piece because I know you like it. That kind of stuff. In fact, there's a piece of furniture here that I'm actually going to give back to her in a couple days, I think. So she's kind of starting over again. So I'm trying to, she's redecorating her living room after having a pretty nasty split. Yeah, I mean it's again. So I asked her after that relationship had ended, and she started another one like almost immediately. I mean, like, I was like, so what are your plans? She's like, oh, U-Haul, and she said her name. U-Haul, this person is dead. Oh. I am not moving, and I'm not having anyone move in with me. Oh. I was like, oh, yeah, that's the answer I needed to hear.
I can tell you that lesbian breakups are the worst, and so is lesbian drama.
I can imagine.
It puts het drama to shame.
It does.
I'm just going to say that.
I mean, but that's the thing is like it's passionate, right? Like it like that kind of drama just feels incredibly passionate, but also petty. It's
because
so petty.
Have you?
So
some
petty.
females can be petty as well.
I mean, right. Obviously, I'm saying this from a cis heterosexual white male perspective. So my opinion on things, especially in the lesbian community, is not very high. Not highly regarded upon that community. Thinking about how I perceive things, but it was messy. It was tough. I'm still friends with both of them in that relationship, and they're like, are you still gonna be friends with that? Yes, I'm gonna be friendly. Like I'm not a jerk. Like you neither of you did anything to me. Right. And but that's a whole thing.
So you guys are still very much in each other's lives.
Yeah, she was over here the other night for dinner.
Oh, I love that.
So Mr. M, can I ask you another question?
Absolutely.
How did your family feel about wife number 2?
They've gone through ebbs and flows. So when they first met wife 2, they were very happy with her. They liked having her around, and they still do. But like their opinions of her have changed as she has come in to realize who she is. And one time my mother was like, oh, I really don't like how, they handled that. And I went, well, why would you care? Like, why do you, I really wish you wouldn't have that opinion of this person, sorry, but it's right. Like, so, and then, so I think from that moment on, they've been all on good terms. Right. So like whenever my parents see wife number 2, it's always like, oh, how are you? How are things? How are you feeling? It's always a very positive interaction. Kind of superficial, but not like there's like whenever I speak to my mother and this person comes up, wife number 2 comes up, it's always, I hope they're doing well. Yeah. Right. It's so like, yes. So they are very positive on that, my parents, especially my dad, is pretty conservative. Although, he's worked for the mega corporation operating theme parks in Orlando for years, and then was, forced retired, during the pandemic. So like he he had a part-time job there for almost 20 years. Then they force retired him. So like whenever the mention of the former president or current governor of Florida comes up, I try to just bite my tongue and stop all conversation about it. But I know he knows that some of the things that are going on in Florida right now is especially between the governor and the mega corporation that operates theme parks in Orlando. Because of all of that, I think he's just like, this is dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, there's the cracks showing, right? Like, so and like he accepts wife number 2 for who she is, and it's not changing. And right, it's not like he's like, oh, the gays are bad. He's never been like that.
Yeah.
He refers to the people in the queer community sometimes in old terms, not in any derogatory. Like, okay, it's somewhat derogatory, but it's not like the real bad ones. It's always like, oh, he's a flamer.
Oh,
which I'm like, Dad, no. And then our other queer friend, he thinks that's hilarious. So like, I don't know how to judge anymore.
that's too funny. I think your whole story is very interesting because you're in a relationship right now, and you mentioned that you met while you were still with wife number 2. And as we sit here and I'm hearing your story, it's actually like, I don't think it was intentional, but like I look up and I see your framed photos and like the way you have everything laid out, like you have a very beautiful family now, right?
Yeah.
Like it's more than just your past, and like this truly is your evolution to where you are now.
So now I want to refer to wife 2 now as my sister, because that's essentially how our relationship has evolved.
Yeah.
I have said so much to her, and she has absolutely reciprocated that. I was like, yeah, I think of you more as my sibling now.
Your family.
Yeah, we're family, right? That's it, right? That's just how it goes. And so
which is like, and the way I'm interpreting it is like, it's such a pure love for this person that it's no longer like a thing. Like it's not a sexual thing. This is somebody you,
and it hadn't been even
love.
when we were still, trying to make that work, right? Like I said, that intimacy dried up years ago. And I wasn't lamenting for it, but I was also like, kind of like, okay, what are we doing here? But right, it was never I need to find attachment somewhere else.
Was that a hard concept to introduce to the person you're with now? Like,
not at all. No, in fact, I think one of the first things I said to my partner is, so this is my life. This is the thing that's going on. I was, at the time, I was like trying out single polyamory, basically just dating. It's just so funny how you could be like, oh, so you were just dating. Yeah, I guess that's what it sounds like. Just not in any real serious way. And she was like super open to that. And because, our situation is that she shares custody of her kids with her ex, and they have a really good working relationship together. Like they are really good co-parents. I don't like to see them together when they are having a disagreement, because that then also brings up a lot of past trauma for her. But in general, they work really well together, and I think he's a pretty stand-up guy. In many ways, especially when it comes to the care of the children. We don't agree on really much, except for certain basic values, which is fine. We agree fundamentally that people are humans are humans, and everyone deserves love, that kind of thing, right? But they have a great working relationship, and I don't know where I was going with this. So, other than to say that my partner came to this with a very open eyes and open arms, right? I was still truly wearing my wedding band, but I wore it on a different finger, because as a sign of this person's important to me.
Yeah.
Right. And then eventually it was like, okay, I don't have to wear that anymore. I don't have to prove to myself that there's someone to me, right? And I think that was a decision that like we kind of talked about.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't you need to take off this ring. It was, how do you feel about it now? And it was like, actually I don't feel about it now.
It was a natural
progression out. I don't even know where that ring actually is. It's probably in some drawer somewhere or whatever, but like I don't feel drawn to it any longer like I used to.
Because you don't need it.
I don't need it. Right. It was kind of like a crutch, right? That's kind of how I view it. Right. So the part that cracks me up about all of it is that so I came into all this very honestly. I laid everything out on the table, and she just came back and said, "Okay, let's see what works. Let's see what'll happen." And it's been 4 years now. I mean, it's been awesome.
Nice. I mean, for what it's worth, I feel like that is what you need, right? Somebody who's open, honest, and like, yeah, let's just do it. Like, there's no one shoe fits all. Like, there's not one type of relationship that is the type of, like, it could be whatever you make it. Right.
And it was great because she was just willing to listen and willing to hear my reasons behind things.
Yeah.
Her family did not like this arrangement in the slightest at first.
Well, it's different.
And literally, we're standing in a store, and this is the first time I've met her parents. And her dad, whom I love, by the way, says to me, "What are your intentions with my daughter?"
I think Bizzle's heard that question before.
Yeah, I know Bizzle has heard that before. I remember him telling me.
So were you like, "Oh, I'm prepared for this"?
No, I mean, I didn't know what I was. I didn't know if I was ever going to get that question, but I've been actually asked that several times in my life. Yeah, it's weird. But I said, here's the deal: is I said I literally just met your grandkids, and we had been dating now at that point about 10 months. I had just met them the month before, like literally right after Thanksgiving, like the beginning of December. So it was like within a few weeks. I was like, I've just met your grandkids. We have, your daughter and I have been working together to build a life, right? Is to make make a space together. And I said, and that's all I can. That's all I can do is you try to make a safe and comfortable spot for everyone. And that's my intention, is to build this life with your daughter. And we're taking it judiciously. We're not jumping into it and just going, oh, let's go do something crazy, right? Like the original, like, as I had asked my partner, hey, when as I wasn't ready, I was like, when is an appropriate amount of time to have elapsed before I get introduced to the kids? And she was like, oh, it's at least 6 months. And didn't happen until 9 months. And that was okay. Right. It wasn't like, oh, let's meet these kids. Let me like shoehorn myself into their life. And it was very much just a way to make sure that we were going somewhere. This was something that because it doesn't do anyone any good to introduce children to someone who may or may not be there in the future, right? And so that was the whole point,
right?
Was to make sure that this was going to be a thing. This is real. And and I think about that now, and it's so crazy to have thought about, like, I wasn't in their lives like this whole time.
Aww.
But now, like I don't imagine my life without them.
So let me ask: do you think one day you'll ask whoever your daughter sees one day what their intentions are?
Oh, probably. I'll probably team up with the ex-husband and like tag team. I mean, who knows? I don't know. No, I'm not. Actually, I'm not like that. Right?
It's gonna happen. I'm putting it out in the universe.
Right. I try to be the most open-minded person that I know about literally anything. But you're right. It probably is gonna be.
I like picture you with your feet up, leaned back a little bit, squinting.
I don't know.
So, just based on the conversation you've had, Mr. M, I feel like you've evolved as not only like a human, but also as, kind of coming into your own. Do you feel like if you look back at your 24-year-old self and you look at yourself now, do you feel like you've grown a lot and that you became a lot more accepting of like the craziness?
Yes. So right. I never used to fancy myself like ultra liberal, left leaning, but like as I've gotten older and I've seen suffering and I've seen, things that should not be, I've definitely grown, right? And that's helped shape who I am as a human and how I interact with the world. Like 24-year-old Mr. M would not have been able to have the conversation that I had with my partner about, this is my stuff. This is everything I've got. Take it or leave it, that kind of thing, right? I would not have been able to do that. I would have been very protected and very like only giving out what I needed to move forward, right? And not being honest with myself. So yeah, once I hit my 30s, I started really getting into my stride about who I was. When I hit 40, I was like, okay, this is who I am. This is me as a person. I'm a fully realized person, finally. Mm-hmm. I am super comfortable with myself. I'm happy with my job. I'm happy with my friends. I'm happy with, my life, my station, right? I am here. This is who I am, and this is what I'm going to do.
And I have to say, like, if you're home, because you mentioned it in our conversation, like that, this is you, right?
Yeah.
It's colorful. It's beautiful. Like, this is like legit. Like, you have a beautiful family life now, which is awesome.
Right. So we're talking with my partner earlier today about something about how what she was wearing today, which was like navy blue, and then she was talking to me about this other, and I was like, oh yeah, but God forbid you'd wear your black Chucks with that. And I said, says the guy who owns blue shoes and wears them with literally everything. Like, right. She's like, well, you don't own any black. I'm like, I do, but I don't wear it. I just don't wear black. Like the darkest thing I own are probably these shorts, right?
I'm head to toe in black.
and it was so funny. It was what was it? It was like, wearing all navy blue, like kind of like it's just I have done, unintentionally. Like I'll have like dark jeans on with a blue sweater, and I was like, well, and then so I think it was my partner who was like, oh yeah, that's emo goth. Like, it's not quite goth, but it's emo goth. I'm like, oh,
so funny.
So now I have one more question,
yes.
And I hope it's not uncomfortable. When you were living in the real life L word,
yes,
I don't even know how to say this.
Just say it.
Right.
Did you have any? Well, that's one. Did you have any regrets? And maybe what's something that you really learned from that whole experience?
Oh, okay. The regret that I had was saying that I would spend money to move this person to Florida. I enjoyed having them in my life. My life is richer for them. In fact, they're the ones that introduced me to the concept of there are no bad neighborhoods, just economically depressed ones. And I was just like, because I had always just used bad neighborhood as shorthand for places I didn't want to be, and I never really understood why that was. Financial desperation. I mean, that's, and then I go, oh, so the only thing that separates us is money. Oh, well, we need to give those communities more money, right? And then they won't be quote unquote bad anymore. They're just right. So like that person introduced me to that concept, and that has dramatically shifted my view on, neighborhoods around Orlando, right? Like I used to feel unsafe about driving through certain areas, but I'm like, don't know. These are people who are just trying to live their lives, and don't be afraid of that. If in fact, try to help that, right? So I enjoyed having that person in my life. I'm still friends with them. They have moved away. Good for them, right? I mean, I'm glad they were able to move on with their life. And so that's the thing I regret about that. Like if I could have saved this person that trauma, that pain of moving, being in a relationship that didn't work out, and then having to make hard choices to leave. I would have loved to have saved them from that, but having them in my life, I was able to find the good point about it. What was the second part of your question? I'm sorry.
Is there anything you learned from that, or
I mean,
anything you gained?
Yeah.
What did you gain?
So I mean, I've learned that that people are just people, right? I mean, I've always known that, but I mean, like, again, that whole like personalizing someone's actions, against yourself as never really the answer, right? Is that they're going through their own shit and they gotta, and maybe they need a helping hand, right? That's kind of the focus of what I'm experiencing around it. Was just like, it's a whirlwind of chaos. Someone's always upset. At one point, I swear, guys, I had my own cat. My second wife has her own cat. So there were 2 cats. Then at one point, before this third person moved in, we decided to get a third cat together, our cat. So now we're up to 3 cats. This person moved in, and they had 2 cats and a dog.
Whoa.
Then wife 2 moved in with her next partner, didn't take her cat. Then, and this is the part that is the real true L word story here, is then wife number 2's former girlfriend then moved her current girlfriend in without asking, number 1, with her own cat. There were 6 cats and a dog in my 1,500 square foot house.
I have 8 cats, but we are in 2,700 square feet. So.
Right, and you probably have enough litter boxes to support that, I imagine.
Yes, we do.
I had to buy 2 or 3 additional litter boxes. Then my cat, my poor sweet angel baby kitty, who is now 18 this year.
Is that? Did I see?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. That's Yzma.
Mm-hmm.
And she lived on that buffet you see behind you there in the old house. She lived on that buffet. Would not leave it. Would not go. Would not go get food. Would not go get water. Was wasting away. Would not clean herself anymore.
Wow.
She was seriously stressed and depressed
from all the other
animals taking up her space. And at one point she had such big mats in her fur.
Oh.
I actually had to shave her.
Oh,
I had to shave my cat.
Do you have a picture?
I probably do somewhere. And if you want to put that in show notes later, I can.
I love that, because I think the other part of it was probably some lesbian drama.
It was all lesbian
drama. Right? Like, cats pick up on that, okay?
Yeah.
Animals pick up on lesbian drama. I'm just going to tell you.
Right, they're tuned to it.
It's the worst. It's the worst.
I have to say thank you for letting us get to know you, hear the story of your evolution, get to see a little bit of your beautiful, colorful, wonderful life. It's okay to be not okay. Just make sure you're talking to someone.